Hey everybody, welcome back to FSi DFS. I'm McKinley412 looking at the 6-game main slate for night. There's the 7-game early slate. I won't be covering that, just short on time and everything. So looking at this one at night, pay attention to this weather in Cleveland. It does look like it could be a little bit dicey. I do think they maybe get it in, but I mean, we're still 10 hours away from lock. Weather changes. We all know this. So pay attention to that. I hope it's not postponed. If it is postponed, obviously we lose the Dodgers bats, and that's just going to make Atlanta just cream of the crop once again, but like kind of all on their own. At least if this Dodgers Cleveland game goes, it's going to take a little bit of ownership away from Atlanta because people will be going towards the Dodgers and all that kind of stuff. So let's just dive right in. Gossman right up at the top, 10.6K. He's going to be my SP1. It's a little bit of a tougher matchup going up against Baltimore and their bats, but I do think that given the rest of the pitchers on the slate, given the floor that he can provide, I do think that Gossman is probably going to be my SP1 on this slate. Kershaw, again, weather concerns. This is something that we do have to be paying attention to. But the other thing with Kershaw that we also need to be noting is the pitch count. I do think he's going to see a little bit of a bump here. I wouldn't expect 70 pitches again. He's done that in both starts since he's been back. So it would not shock me if they pushed him to maybe like 80 at this point in time. And Kershaw, we know what he's capable of doing. We've seen him for the past decade plus. 80 pitches, he can easily get to 20 DK points and get to, where his value could be at his salary price point. But it's still a little bit concerning with the pitch count, especially when you add in that weather. Charlie Morton facing off against the Mets. He's fine. I think the issue that you're going to run into on this slate is if you jam in Gossman and then you jam in Morton, you're down to less than 4K remaining for your bats. It's a small slate. And even with a small slate, you got Atlanta and the Dodgers on there against bad pitching. So it's going to be really tough to fade those bats. So you're going to almost, if you go Gossman, you're almost going to need to be looking a little bit cheaper down into the pitching, like a guy like Detmers or Gore with his upside. Even like a Severino. I mean, we'll get there, but even a Severino, he's just cheap. No. But yeah, so that's kind of where the hesitation is with Morgan. I think he's in a fine spot. He's going to get the run support. He could certainly be in line for the win. He does have a little bit of control issues, but going up against the Mets, I think he's fine. So this is kind of where it shakes out up at the top here. So Gossman, Kershaw, Morgan. So going into the mid tier, I do have Detmers, Gore, Flaherty, and then Sale. Sale's got a pitch count. He's not on a pitch count. He just hasn't gone super deep. I guess technically it's a pitch count. But 58, 65, I would not expect him to go past 80 pitches. So it's kind of like Kershaw. He's just in a much tougher matchup than Kershaw. So obviously I'm going to have more interest in Clayton Kershaw and not so much on Sale. But I do have Detmers, number one in this mid-tier is my favorite option. 7.6K. He's just got, great strikeout upside. He's got a fantastic ceiling. He's going up against Cincinnati. There's some serious strikeouts in that Cincinnati lineup against left-handed pitching specifically. So I do think that Detmers is going to be my number one there. Gore right behind him, facing off against the Yankees, and the Yankees offense has just really been struggling as of late. Flaherty kind of rounding things out in that mid-tier. Cheap tier, Severino. It feels so bad making him as my favorite play down here, but it's a small slate and it's pretty thin at pitching. But like I said, Gossman at the top, if you throw in Severino, it gives you a whole lot more salary to work with. I mean, you're saving who knows how much. But Severino facing off against Washington. Washington, they don't strike out a whole lot, but they're also not a super great offense, especially against right-handed pitching. So, if Severino can go, I don't even know. Trying to, think of a projected stat line for Severino. 4 to 5 innings with 3 or 4 earned runs and 5. Essentially what he's done, in his last start and against Kansas City here. So if he can get me to 10 DK points, I'm happy. Like, honestly, I really look for like the 2.5 times value for salary. But with Severino here, if he can get me double digits, I'm happy with that, because what it's going to allow me to do is pay up for the bats that I think are really going to be really, I mean, they're really separated on this slate. It's Atlanta, it's LA, and then like just this monstrous gap. Obviously, in GPP, everything gets thrown out the window, and it's a free for all. It's the Wild West out there. But in terms of like optimal and everything, you're gonna want the Atlanta, and you're gonna want the Dodgers bats to have some interest in. Urquidy, pitch. I put pitch count here again. They don't know what we're doing with Urquidy. He might go 60, he might go 50, he might go 80 pitches. Who knows? He's all over the place. And yeah, Cincinnati pitcher. I don't know if it's Kennedy. It says Kennedy here on DK, but I will say the MLB website and the MLB app do not have Kennedy as the starting pitcher here. It's still to be determined. So if it is Kennedy, I'm going to have a whole lot of interest in the Angels. But if it's not Kennedy, I don't know. I don't know who else it could be. So make sure you're paying attention to that. So turning towards the bats, it's Atlanta, it's the Dodgers. It's pretty obvious. Atlanta, just anybody, especially against left-handed pitching. Like, their entire lineup just mashes left-handed pitching. Ozuna, he has been cooking these past 2 days, to say the least. 3 home runs. You can see 28 and 26 DK points. So he's seeing the ball really well. Harris, he's probably going to be betting a little bit more down in the lineup. Lefty-on-lefty matchup there. But yeah, Acuna, stolen base, upside. It's just like anybody on Atlanta is going to be viable. Dodgers, again, pay attention to the weather in this game. Rain is certainly an issue. But Curry should not be scaring you at all. Dodgers do come in with a little bit of a salary discount compared to those Atlanta bats, so it might be a little bit easier to jam them in. They also have the cheap lefty plays that we have been targeting or could target. Guys like Outman at 3.4K. He's going to be batting, middle to lower in the lineup, at 6-7 spot. So if the earlier guys get on base, which they certainly can, and should in this matchup, he's going to be in line for some possible RBI opportunities at a very, very affordable 3.4K. Peralta's there as well at 2.8K. Hayward 2.6. So they have a lot of cheap left-handed bats in their lineup. After Atlanta, after the Dodgers, wrong tab. Hey, I love disc golf. In case you guys want to know something about me, love disc golf. Do you guys like disc golf? I don't know. This is a video I was going to watch. So going back to, where was I going? This is where I want to go. The Angels. If it is Kennedy, pitching for Cincinnati, he just does not have great numbers at all. I'm going to have a whole lot of interest in the Angels, especially Mike Trout's back. Woohoo! We can finally celebrate. They also have this weird little note up here. It says that Ohtani's not in the player pool right now, but they're going to add Ohtani in the player pool once the lineup for the first game is confirmed. I don't know. It just sounds all weird. But yeah, so Ohtani is going to be in there. Mike Trout, obviously, is going to be in there as well. But yeah, so I really do like the Angels, especially if it is going up against Kennedy. But something to monitor when you get there. GPP, New York Mets. Morton, I talked a little bit about it earlier. He does have some control issues. It's kind of been plaguing him, especially as of late. Is my memory correct? I want to say that Morton actually just played these Mets. I could be thinking completely wrong. Who knows? Let's see. Oh, he did. Look at that. 2 starts to go. Oh, wow. 7 walks. Yeah, so he's certainly been plagued by some control issues as of late. If that happens again, I mean, the fact that he allowed 10 base runners, only had 4 strikeouts, and didn't allow a single run is extremely lucky. This guy, so the Mets, they're not going to strike out a whole lot. They're going to get on base with walks, with the control issue. Maybe they get a little lucky with BABIP. I do think that Morgan can be tossed around quite a bit there. So I do have quite a bit of interest in those Mets bats, and they're cheap. We like them. They're very affordable. Only 3 guys above 3.8K. So, I mean, I gravitate to Vogelbach right there, and I was like, no, he just strikes out too much. But yeah, so I really do think the Mets are nice. Nimmo at 4.4K leading off should be a decent spot there. Boston, I do think that they could be another GPP spot that you could have some interest in going up against Urquidy. Urquidy, he does allow quite a few ground balls, but really the Boston against right-handed pitching, Boston against like poor right-handed pitching, I'm always going to have a lot of interest in terms of their ceiling, just because they have so many left-handed bats that can absolutely mash the ball. They are a little bit pricey. You can see like almost their entire lineup is priced 4K and above, but I mean, that's just going to reduce their ownership even more, especially if people are trying to go with the Dodgers and going with Atlanta. In terms of cheap, Washington, that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot of value on the slate to like, but they're going up against Severino. And it would not shock me if Severino does get a little bit of ownership, just because, I mean, it's a small slate with really great offenses. So, but if you go here, Gausman, Detmers, you got 4K remaining. You could do it. You could do it. Throwing guys like Outman, throwing a guy like Peralta, or oh man, I'm blanking here. Here a guy, Hayward. That's what I'm thinking of. Jam those guys in. But like DJ LeMahieu, he's probably going to be leading off. I think he's pretty affordable. 3.1K going up against Gore. Gore can certainly, struggle himself. But there are some one-offs at the top of orders that could be cheap. They could be targeting in this slate, but yeah. So hopefully this Dodgers-Cleveland game isn't rained out. Hopefully we get a full 6 games, because if it is rained out, it's going to get pretty ugly pretty quick. It's already kind of ugly. So thanks for watching. Really do appreciate it. Good luck in your contests. Mega Roller is going to be back for tomorrow's video and on Friday, and then I'll be back on Saturday. So have a good one.